Hello! Welcome to
Southland Christian Fellowship's
Christmas Celebration.
Now it's time to switch off your phones, finish your conversations.
Yes, that does mean you two in the middle row.
Yes, I see you. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy.
O come, O ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord, God of God, light of light eternal. Lo, he abhors not the virgin's brood. Son of the Father, begotten, not created. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee. Born this happy morning, Jesus, to thee be your glory given. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Christ the Lord, oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore
strange year, hasn't it? We were all excited about 2020 as the clock struck 12 and a new year began. Then everything changed as there were reports of a strange virus from China heading this way. Then my school shut and even church. It was so hard. I was stuck inside with my family, which was good sometimes. We made rainbows to stick in the window. Every Thursday we got to stay up late to stand outside and clap the NHS and say thank you. Mum's a nurse, so she was working. Dad had to look after us as he was furloughed, or whatever it's called. I'm so proud of my mum as she was helping people get better who had the virus. I think I want to be a nurse when I grow up. On Mum's days off, she often went to the supermarket and had to queue outside. She was gone for ages, and there was no loo roll and no pasta. It was crazy. I was grateful for the hot summer days when I could play in the garden and splash in the paddling pool. Me and my sisters made friends with the neighbours' children. It was great fun. We had water fights and chats through the fence. Dad had to stand on stools so we could see each other. When the doorbell rang, it was so exciting. We would have a race to see who could get to the door first. Friends from church came with food, flowers and treats, especially when he had to isolate when Dad got COVID. It was a long 2 weeks. I'm so thankful Dad is okay. He still hasn't got his taste back, and it's been months. His favourite treat is dark chocolate, and he says it doesn't taste of anything much. I feel sorry for him. Mum told me that lots of people have died, which is super sad. I'm glad my dad didn't die. He's a bit more tired than normal. I didn't really like school before, but when September came around, I was really excited to get back there. I didn't think much of the Zoom lessons and homework on the computer in lockdown. It was really tricky at home, since we only had one laptop and one iPad. In the end, the school lent us another laptop so me and my sisters could get our work done. Christmas is coming and it won't be the same. Boris says we have to be in a bubble thingy, but I don't like the sound of that. Mum said we might not be able to see Nanny B this year, which makes me sad. Mum's got to work. She says there are more people sick with the virus again. I know Christmas will be good. I'm thankful to God for keeping my family and friends safe. I think about Jesus and the real reason we celebrate Christmas. Stay safe and have a lovely Christmas, whatever it looks like for you.
Shining, it's
For the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Fall on your knees, oh hear the angel voices, oh night divine, oh night when Christ was born, oh night divine, oh night divine.
Our daughter started a tradition many years ago of buying us a decoration made by our local sculptor who creates scenes of the Nativity out of clay. And whenever I look at our Christmas tree, it's like I'm looking at every part of the Christmas story and the history of our family get-togethers, both at the same time. I was staring at the Christmas tree the other night, squinting up at it from the floor. You know me, I like to lay on the floor. And the question came to me, God, have I taken the shape that you want me to be? And these words fell into my tired mind where I lay on the floor after a long day. You see, I used to say a prayer like that quite often when I was younger, and when the direction of my life wasn't quite so clear. At that stage, there were more years ahead of me than behind me. I was in the habit of praying, God, you are the potter and I am the clay. Please shape me. This was when I was still choosing the path for my life, the university I'd study at, the career I'd pursue, the woman I'd marry. Don't worry, I'm not a Scrooge. I'm not bemoaning a Christmas past and all that stuff, you know. When I was looking at those clay ornaments, I triggered this memory of when I was unformed, ready to be made into something, yet to be tested and strengthened through fire. That prayer over the years became more of a declaration. I will take the shape my Father has planned for me, because he is the potter and I am the clay. And I believe it still, with all my heart. But this lump, let's be honest, it's a lumpy bit of clay, has been shaped slowly. I live and I act and I walk in a certain way and have done for years. That hopeful, prayerful statement I declared when I was young, well, it was before this strange time that we're all living in. Before the virus hit and the world ground to a halt, before they sort of shut down everything and cancelled all the events, in a way that's still impacting me and impacting so many people that I know as well. Like my daughter. Now, she cried over the phone and she called to say, look, Dad, I can't get this little clay decoration because the sculptor couldn't reopen after lockdown. He's had to shut. So last year's little shepherd boy was the final one. Now that prayer of faith I prayed all those years ago, is that cancelled too? I prayed it before this cynical time when politics and conversation weren't so angry and toxic. when you could still have a civil chat with neighbours or with relatives from the other side of the political divide. When Remainers and Leavers could talk sensibly with one another. Do you remember those days? It seemed that when I prayed that old prayer, I was in a much simpler or hopeful time. So there I am, just laying on the floor. The tree is decked out and twinkling, but it just didn't look the same. The feelings, the expectation I normally have at Christmas time, they just weren't there. Then I started looking around the living room at all the things in it. Stuff gathered up over a lifetime. The furniture, the bookshelves, the trinkets, the souvenirs, picture frames and coffee mugs, plant holders, all those practical and decorative things. And I had to smile. I said, God, you've really shaped me. Now, God, please use me. Now, sometimes at Christmas, I just want to think about the little baby in the manger, or some years I'm part of a choir singing, or I'm in some big church play. But this year I felt a little bit more tired, and I wasn't certain that I'd even put up a Christmas tree. But when I'm standing with my arms raised in worship, or even laying on the living room floor, I know that the God I serve is the God who shapes and uses me. He's the God who cleanses and polishes me. He repairs and restores me. He is the potter, and I am the clay. And he holds me in his hand. I don't know whether we'll have a big Christmas dinner this year with a turkey and all the trimmings, or we'll just order a pizza and sit on the sofa like some will do. But I do know that my God is the God who can fill this empty vessel with grace. And that's a grace that's not based on a feeling or my circumstances, but on the very nature of who he is, a gracious God who gave his only Son to the world to save us from despair. This Christmas, we ask you, God, to shape us into the shape you want us to take. Use us in the way you want to, God, and fill us with your grace.
Savior of is a phone. You may have seen one before. It's your calendar, it's your calculator, it's your window into 1,000 worlds. It's a camera, it's a notebook. A personal assistant is like a companion that you've touched and interacted with more than any other person in your life. It counts how many steps you have taken, how many calories you have burned off, and it beeps to remind you when to take your medication. And it notifies you when the package you have ordered arrives at your door. It tells how long you boil your eggs. It serves as your alarm clock. You cast your morning workout video from it and listen to your favourite music podcast. It's in your hands, by your ear, in front of your eyes before your first coffee. Where you go, it goes. You might text whilst on the toilet, tweet whilst in the bath, comment in between bites of your cereal, book a hotel, leave a review, read a book, binge watch all the shows you love, subscribe, and save. And we haven't even mentioned Instagram or Facebook, where you scroll and you scroll for days and you get lost in a labyrinth of funny memes and gifs. And you comment on people's posts that you haven't seen since school. Let your jaw drop at sensational news stories that, even though you know better, you click and you click again until your blood pressure goes high. Before you know it, it's almost lunchtime, and you snap out of your school-induced haze, only to realise you meant to read the Bible verse of the day. I stand with it whilst in line in the bank, whilst waiting for the nurse to call my name. I consult it whilst watching movies over dinner, while I walk the dog, whilst I'm in a meeting at work. It's my connection to the world. And yet, it disconnects me from the world, from God. It does most things for me. It doesn't give me peace. This is a phone, and you're allowed to turn it off. Put it down. There's a difference. When we stop, and when we unwind, and when we turn off our pixels and turn to the real light, let's take a moment together. Close our eyes. Just take a deep breath. To exhale. When was the last time you felt true, deep, quiet peace? God keeps in perfect peace anyone and everyone that is connected to Him. This Christmas, let us turn our hearts and attention to Jesus. He came as light in the world, so we may truly know peace. Tune out the world a little more. Put down your phone, tune into God.
Peace on earth and mercy mild. So I attended one of those financial seminars that teach the importance of pension scheme. I've had so much time to cut home lately. Ever since my job got furloughed, I've been searching every job board I can find and for any tips I can get on how to make money and how to save it. I went down one of those rabbit trails on Google, you know what I'm talking about, where I search how to pay off mountains of debt. After watching more than 30 minutes of YouTube videos, I ended up signing up for a seminar. They were talking about compound interest and how you can build wealth over time, just by screwing a little bit of money every month. Apparently, the Italians thought it up in the 17th century, and then Wall Street perfected it in our own time, and everyone should take advantage of it. I like the thought. Say you deposit £200 a month into an account at a certain percentage. That money collects interest, and then interest collects interest. Don't worry, I'm not here to sell you a mutual fund. I mean, I don't even have one myself. I have 4 years of student loans to pay off and car payment, so I'm definitely no financial whiz. But the concept is appealing. So say you deposit £200 into the mutual fund at a certain rate of return, and you do that every month for 30 years. Voila, you're a millionaire. Awesome idea, right? Guess how I felt though after the sales pitch? Here I am without a job, with a big pile of debt, and wishing that before I leased a car, someone had taught me about money in college. As you can imagine, I was starting to feel a little bit discouraged. There's nothing more like having a lot of time on your hands, a search engine on your smartphone, and aimlessly surfing the internet. I've never really done this before, but I was feeling so down that I decided to type 4 letters into the search engine. Can you guess what they were? H-O-P-E, hope. Where can I find hope? It's kind of embarrassing because I know where. I didn't find any hope in my Google search, I can tell you that. But as I walked to the verge of self-condemnation and regret, wishing I had a job and had been smarter with my money, I stopped my little pity party and walked out the door for some fresh air. I found myself at a postbox. To my surprise, a Christmas card from my grandma had arrived, just like every other year. A sweet little note and £10 in it, and the front of the card said, "Hope of the world." When I turned it over, on the inside was a drawing of Mary, holding little baby Jesus, and a verse from Luke. But Mary treasured up all these words, pondering in her heart what they might mean. As I stood there in the cold, without a jacket on, holding a card and an envelope out of her hand, with the £10 in the other, I looked up at the sky and had to laugh. Snow was falling all around me, in big fat flakes, there as big as dove feathers, and I suddenly felt like the richest person in the world. Right there and there, I repented and asked God for forgiveness for getting me so discouraged by the circumstances when His Son and His Spirit lived right inside of me. What a treasure there is in this little heart of mine. Mary treasured up all these things that God was doing in her circumstances, in her heart. This miracle of a story that God gave His only Son, born as a baby, born of a woman, to live a perfect life and set us free from sin and despair. Wow. This miracle of a story has treasured in hearts like Mary's ever since the day Jesus was born. And since Luke wrote down his gospel and the words were passed along centuries. Just think of the compound interest that has accumulated in the hearts of believers. All the riches of glory of God in all of us, in this world. As I stood there in the snow, and believe me, I was starting to get really cold. I desired just to store it all up, to let the truth of God multiply and grow, so that my whole heart becomes a reservoir of hope. Let it compound and accumulate. But friends, I have to tell you, I felt something else so deeply. Like my grandma, who by the world's standards has very little but gives so much, so that her £10 gift fell to me. 10,000. We must not hoard up all this hope to ourselves. Spend it, give it away. The world needs it. If you and I, believers of God, get discouraged in these days, how much more do those who don't know Him and need hope? Go tell it on the mountains, shout it from the rooftops, ponder the wonder of God's truth, and as the wealth and riches build up in you, give that hope away. Today, I share riches of hope.
So I had a dream, and when I woke up, was like, you know, what I could really do with is one of those amazing men or women of faith from of old to come and help me understand it. You know, a bit like Joseph when he talked to Pharaoh about the dream that he'd had, and Joseph helped Pharaoh perceive that it was about 7 years of harvest, followed by 7 years of famine. Trouble was, there were no rivers, there were no cows, it was just desert. And I felt terrible. And all my fingers, they're all burnt, blistered. And the sun was beating down on the body, my face was so hot. My lips were cracked and dry, and I was so thirsty. And I wanted to cry. But no tears came. And then I kind of perceived this whisper of a voice on the wind. And it was so real, it made the hairs on my arms stand up. And like a breeze was flowing across my body. And I woke up, and it was still so real and startling. And then I thought, you know, this must be what Elijah felt when, after the earthquake, after the fire, after the wind, there was just that still, small voice. Anyway, for me, the words were emblazoned on my wall. It was like it was just there. Everything was the same as before, like the paper and the wrapping, the scissors that I'd had to do my late night shop, the late night wrapping up the night before, they were all there, but the words just stuck out. So, what were these words? Drink deeply from the river of my delights. Drink deeply. From where? From what? This was a place in the desert, there was no water. And I thought, you know what I really need? I need to have a time machine. And then in my time machine, I could go back to the Egyptian Empire as it was rising in prominence, and I could go back to Joseph in his prison cell and here and say, here, here's my dream, Joseph. What does it mean? But as I did that, you know, there was something that just clicked. And I thought to myself, this is about the desert. The desert is the place where we've been. The desert is the place where we are, what we're walking through. And been depleted. I think more depleted than I really knew. I think more depleted than maybe I ever have been before. It's been a rough year, it's been a tough year. It's like we have been walking through a desert place. And the amount of confusion, uncertainty, and fear, sometimes anger, loneliness that some of us have felt has been more than perhaps we've ever experienced before. And it's all come at once. Some of us have brought along the sunscreen. Some of us had a week's worth of supplies. Some people came and they didn't even have a hat. And I really know it's weird talking about the desert place when we're coming up to Christmas. You know, the ice, the cold, mince pies, mulled wine. But good, but you know what's even stranger is preparing for the Christmas season as we are right now. I mean, you can't smell gravy or Christmas pudding over Zoom, can you? It's the time of year when we all want to be close to our families. And this year, some of us won't even be able to hug loved ones, or kiss a new baby, or sing carols at the top of our lungs out of tune like we normally do, or even open presents, laugh. It's been a dry old year, a bit like the scorched earth I was standing on in my dream with my burnt lips. I got to thinking about my Christmas wrap last night, thinking over all the right things in all the right order and all the right gifts, and the decorations I want to put up, and the traditions I want to follow, but it's like there's no feeling. It's like I'm going through the motions. And then the still small voice again. A bit like in my dream when I just had the sense of the wind passing over me. And then the still small voice came back to me. Drink deeply from the river of my delights. Drink deeply. From where? From what? And I started to think, actually, we can never have enough loo paper stuffed away in the airing cupboard. We can never have enough tins in the kitchen cupboard. There can never be enough batteries in the whole world to light up the kind of darkness that we've been going through. My abilities, my strengths, even my faith, my traditions, they're good, but they're not enough. And I'm walking through a dry and weary land, but what I've come to realise is that the river of God never runs dry. And if I've been taught anything by this dream, maybe even warned by it, it's that we have to go to the river. We have to drink deeply. We have to keep on going, run into it, get filled up by it. There's grace and there's mercy in God to know His journey. So whatever you're feeling at the moment, whatever you're going through, go back to the river. Drink deeply. Keep on being filled. And know true joy.
I was down in the valley before love came and grabbed me. Never thought I'd see the sun again. With no hesitation, you became my resurrection. All the light came shining in. Now I've got beauty for ashes, and I've got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle. Now I've got beauty for ashes, and I've got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle. This is more than religion. Glad I've made my decision. Hope reversed the curse I was walking in. got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle. I remember the voice that called me. I remember when my heart said yes. I will never forget that morning. You were singing over me like, yeah, 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 yeah. You were singing over me, yeah. You were singing over me, yeah, 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 yeah. You were singing over me, yeah, 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 yeah. You were singing over me like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you were singing over me like, you were singing over me, you were singing over me like,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
now I've got beauty for ashes, and I've got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle. Now I've got beauty for ashes, and I've got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle. Now I've got mercies in the morning, and I've got rivers ever flowing, and I've got freedom and I'm dancing. Love is a miracle, and I've got beauty for ashes, and I've got joy for mourning, and I've got praise for heaviness. Love is a miracle.
It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Just want to thank Patsy for the song that she's just sung to us. Love is a miracle. What a great song. But more importantly in the song is the truth behind it. Love is a miracle. And this year I've witnessed a number of events where mankind has stepped up to the plate and demonstrated unconditional love. The willingness to go the extra mile, generosity beyond measure. Being part of a food bank, we've had new problems this year as we've looked to how do we store so much food, how would you distribute so much food, as the people of Southend have stepped up and gone the extra mile, been generous in their giving to the poor and to the needy, to those that have gone without. It's been a logistical nightmare to actually work out how do we store and how do we distribute volumes of food that we never imagined to be involved in. Just one story of how love can be someone's miracle. This is a year unlike any other that I can remember. A year that has caused us to ask ourselves, what are the most important things in life? And maybe I'm the only one who, upon reflection, has previously underappreciated the value of a hug or the freedom just to walk, or come together to worship Jesus. I don't know what you're thinking right now. Maybe you can identify with one of the stories that has been told this evening. Maybe the feeling of being distant from your loved one, or having been furloughed or worse, has led you to feeling a little down on your luck. Maybe you feel hopeless, depressed or unloved. Or maybe you feel closer than ever to God and to your loved ones, so grateful for what you have. However you find yourself this Christmas, in this season of Advent, as you wait for Christmas, as you wait for the Christmas day and the celebration of the birth of Jesus, I just want to say, this can be a season of joy. This can be a season of hope, with a hope that ignites from within, that will be what drives you forward into 2021 with renewed passion and renewed fight. Maybe you're waiting for that experience right now, that feeling, that moment where nothing else matters because you know that you are loved. That moment when all the fears fade into disappointments disappear and you know you feel on top of the world. This Christmas, whatever your expectation, however you feel about being limited in who you can see, this is the season of Advent, the season of waiting, the season of anticipation, of experiencing the season of joy, the season of hope, the season of love, the season of experiencing His grace. There is a line in the second verse of the song that Patsy sang to us. It's more than religion. I'm glad I've made my decision. And this Christmas, I encourage you to make that decision. In all of this, the church, that your relationship with Jesus is far more than religion. There is no better decision that I've ever made than to trust Him and to follow Jesus. It's so much more than religion. It's so much more than going to church. The relationship with Him, knowing that you can wake up, rise up every day, knowing that you're loved, to live from a place of peace, with hope and joy being your portion, knowing that every day is ease through the empowering presence of His grace in your life. As Christmas comes and 2020 draws to a close, for this I am sure, I could not have done this year without Him. His word has sustained me. He has guided me. He's lit my path. His Spirit has caused hope to arise on the dark days and grace to abound. To peace be my portion and joy to be what overflows. Because love is not just a miracle. It's a gift that comes free when you choose Jesus. This year, I pray for each one of you that your story will be, Jesus is more than religion, and I'm glad that I've made my decision. Because Jesus is my miracle. And I just want to pray over you that this will be a season of peace. This will be a season of hope. This will be a season of joy. That this will be a season where His grace abounds increasingly in your life. And if you'd like someone to pray with you after today's celebration, that my story becomes your story, then find someone in an open plaza t-shirt and a purple t-shirt, and they will love just to pray for you that Jesus this Christmas will cause you to hope, cause you to dream, cause you to overflow with joy, because you know that you're loved by Him and He is with you every step of the way, walking with you. Have a great Christmas. God bless you well.
Love is a miracle.
Oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns the lonely exile here. Until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Come thou day spring, calm and chill, our spirits by thine advent here, and drive away the shades of night, and pierce the clouds and bring us light. in one the hearts of all mankind. Bid thou our division cease, and be thyself the King of peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Shall come to thee, O Israel.
Thank you for watching.
We hope you enjoyed it.
But most importantly, that you take
Thankfulness.
Grace.
Peace.
and joy.
into Christmas and beyond. All that is left to say is
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas!
Happy Christmas!